Welcome to the Lakers Nation news feed. My name is Trevor Lane, senior writer for LakersNation.com. Got a lot to talk about today, but before we jump right into it, head over to DraftKings. Use the promo code CLNS, and you can play for free some fantasy basketball. Get your chance to win up to $10,000 in prizes. Again, use that promo code CLNS, and you can play for free with your first deposit. Well, the Los Angeles Lakers just experienced one of their first major injuries of the season, losing Brook Lopez for what appears to be 3 weeks now. Plus, we've got a rumor to dig into with the Lakers potentially landing Tracy McGrady back in the day to pair him with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. So that'll be a fun one to talk about. Brought in Harrison Faigen of LakersNation.com. Harrison, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me back again, despite the, I guess I won't say disaster of our last video show, but, you brought me back with no video this time, which was probably a good decision.
Is that the reason why we're really doing no video right now? Because of the last show?
That's what I was assuming.
I think video will be back at some point. Probably next episode. Just didn't have the internet capabilities to get it done today. But yes,
that was, in all honesty, my internet connection has already crashed on video twice today. And so I did not want to go through that again.
Well, yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. I've had my fair share of technical problems today, and I'm done with it. So anyway, let's jump into this Lakers news. Brook Lopez against the Golden State Warriors badly sprains his ankle. Looked nasty when we saw it live. Lakers released today that he is out for 3 weeks, and he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks, so he could be out even longer than that. They won't check until 3 weeks has gone by to see if he's ready to return to on-court activity, so he could be out for quite a while here. Harrison, there are a number of different options that the Lakers could turn to. Is there somebody that you think is the best candidate to jump into the starting lineup into Brook Lopez's spot? Even maybe he's not even a center, but who do you think should take that starting lineup spot?
Well, I think if we were going off of merit, then it would be Julius Randle, because the Lakers have just been so much better with him on the floor this year than basically anyone else at that center spot. But I don't anticipate Luke Walton doing that. I think that there's still a reticence to go away from that traditional kind of bigger guy to start games. And so I think that we're probably going to see a more traditional big man in there. And if it was me, I don't think that this is going to happen, but if it was me, I would go with Thomas Bryant. He's shown a lot of potential in the G League so far this year. He's shooting like 45% on threes as a rookie in his first G League action while taking 4 a game. And that's pretty good. And so he's showing a lot of potential. And I think that it would be, if the Lakers need to start somebody with traditional size, then Bryant gives you a little bit of floor spacing. He also gives you a lot of kind of more mobility than a guy like Zubac or a guy like Bogut. And so I think he's going to make rookie mistakes. He actually hasn't played any real NBA minutes yet outside of the preseason, but I'd go with Thomas Bryant if Luke Walton thinks that there's any way that he'll be ready to go. And I don't anticipate that, but I think if you're looking at it objectively and the Lakers are rebuilding and they need to play guys that are going to benefit them moving forward and guys that can maybe help them now, then I think Bryant kind of gives you the best of both worlds.
I get that idea. I mean, Thomas Bryant has been really, really good in the G League. I mean, his three-point shooting percentage, I don't even know if that's sustainable, but you're right. He's shooting 46% right now, which is incredible, especially for a team that needs shooters. He could be a nice fit out there, and we know that he can block shots. But I do worry that maybe you're kind of throwing him into the deep end a little bit too soon. I mean, tossing him into the starting lineup, that means he's battling. Will he be battling like Clint Capella for the Houston Rockets, potentially going up against Boogie Cousins, going one-on-one with Draymond Green he'd wind up in some contests with. I mean, those are some tough guys to have to go against if you are Thomas Bryant. So I get where you're coming from. I think the skill level is there, and ultimately he's going to be an asset, but I don't know they go that way. What about Ivica? What about Ivica Zubac? He looked good last year. I mean, he was a fan favorite. Why not go with him?
Yeah, so I think Zubac is the middle ground here, and I still like Zubac's game, and I think he's still an asset for the Lakers. Bryant has moved past him a little bit in my if I'm looking at Lakers backup center prospect rankings, and it's mainly because of the shooting, and it's because of that extra little bit of mobility. But that's not to a lot of people have just kind of thrown away Zubac this year, and I think that that's a mistake. I think he still has value, and he does offer that like he has played a year in the league, and so he's a little bit more ready for NBA minutes, maybe as far as experience goes. And then he had, like, on the younger guy side, he's actually young, and he has the advantage of being not Andrew Bogut and potentially being an asset for the Lakers moving forward. I mean, my main thing is if I'm the Lakers, I just don't see any value in starting Bogut because he's not going to help you moving forward. He's really not helping you that much right now. And so, like, any youthful mistakes that these other two young guys, whichever one you started, would make are kind of offset by just having a more natural ability than Bogut does at this point.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if this was Bogut 5 years ago, then obviously he would get the
If
nod.
it's Bogut 5 years ago, it's no contest.
Right.
But it's Bogut now, and he's like he looks like Frankenstein out there.
I mean, he looks like Frankenstein on a bad day.
Yeah.
At this point, he like shuffles up and down. He still made some decent plays this season and everything, but just I don't think you can rely on him to slide into that Brook Lopez role. And, another point is that a lot of people are treating this, at least the people online, are treating the Brook Lopez injury as though it's a good thing for the Lakers, as though this is going to help them somehow. And I get that Brook Lopez hasn't quite lived up to expectations, but I don't think he's been quite as bad as a lot of people think. I mean, his three-point shooting isn't quite as good as we hoped and everything, but he's doing a decent job protecting the rim. He's blocking shots at a high level, contesting shots. And so I think the Lakers
He, I believe, still leads the league in shot contests.
Yeah, last I looked, he did, which is impressive because he's barely playing over 20 minutes a game, if that.
And then this is one of those things, too, where the metrics kind of, I think, tell a different story than the eye test. And so it kind of depends on how much you trust your own evaluation of basketball. But for me, I generally will trust the numbers more than looking at the game. And yeah, Lopez doesn't look great while he's out there. But if you're looking at Lakers that have played in more than 11 games, he has the fourth highest net rating. The Lakers are only getting outscored by 1.4 points per 100 possessions with him on the floor, which is still better than their kind of season-long average. And again, he's like fourth best on the team by that mark. And so I think he's been okay. He hasn't been as bad as people are saying. He hasn't been as good as I think the Lakers front office talked him up to be. But I think the main reason that we see him catching a lot more flack than a lot of these other guys is because he's older. And there's not but he's going to be good one day. He's young and he's fun and he's exciting. And Brook Lopez just doesn't have that going for him. And so I think that's kind of where you run into a lot of the negativity online, is that he was expected to be more, whereas all of these young guys, whatever they give you, it's kind of just gravy.
Right, yeah. I mean, Brook Lopez doesn't have that upside that gets people all excited for what he could be someday, but I certainly don't think that he's in the addition by subtraction category like some people have him as. I think this is a hurdle the Lakers are going to have to overcome. You did mention Julius Randle. Statistically, he'd be the best one, right? I mean, Julius Randle is the one constant in, I believe it was the top 4 Lakers lineups in terms of net rating that have played more than, say, 25 minutes per game together, or not per game, in total together. So we're not talking about like a lineup that they just threw out there for a few minutes and happened to do really well. Julius Randle has consistently been the best center on the team, so why not toss him out there and roll with that?
I think there's a little bit of a reticence to just go away from the traditional size, would be my guess, of having let's get a 7-footer out there to bang with Capella. And I think that, a lot of people have theorized that this is Luke trying to keep Randle motivated and trying to keep his minutes a little bit lower so that he can kind of keep that full exertion for the entire time he's out there rather than ever having to take plays off. But I just don't know that that's like a valid reason to not be playing him that much anymore. But at the same time, like, he has the 5th most minutes of anyone on the team. So it's not like he's just like not playing. He's playing. The only guys playing more than him are Kuzma, Caldwell Pope, Ball, and Ingram. And so it's not like he's being completely minute starved. I think maybe I think a lot of it's just traditionalism. They want to start with that kind of more closer to 7-foot center, I guess.
Well, and I guess I understand that. Like, even look at the Warriors. They start Zaza Pachulia. Then they put
because they don't want Draymond Green having to bang with 7-footers all season nonstop.
Right, which makes sense. Now, Walton in the game against the Warriors, it was against the Warriors who run small quite a bit, but instead of any of these guys that we're talking about, Walton tossed in Kyle Kuzma back into the starting lineup and ran Larry Nance Jr. as a center. I don't think that's a long-term fix, at least not for the length of time that Lopez is out. Do you see that as something that can work and that they should should continue to go to, or would you prefer to look at maybe a Zubac or a Bryant?
I think I'd rather get a look at a Zubac or a Bryant because I think at this point we know that Larry Nance Jr. is not a center. I think that the Lakers have tried that enough times over the last couple seasons where he just doesn't really offer. He offers a lot of things on defense, but like rim protection isn't really one of them. He's athletic and he can kind of come weak side sometimes, but as far as just like defending the rim on a play-by-play basis, he's not that great at it. And he just really hasn't been very helpful to the Lakers this year. He hasn't really. If you're looking at the numbers, he hasn't really earned his starting spot, I don't think. And I think that that's why you have so many people up in arms about Randle not starting over him. And again, if we go back to net rating, like there is no one worse among the Lakers, like consistent, like guys that have played consistent games than Nance Jr. by that metric. The Lakers are getting outscored by 6.2 points per 100 possessions while Nance is on the floor, which just like for context would be the third worst net rating in the league if prorated over an entire season. And that's not all Nance's fault. The starters as a whole, that unit hasn't been great, but Nance hasn't really helped a whole lot. And I think that it's just the team is having a hard time finding lineups where he fits and his skills are able to complement people.
Yeah, agreed. And it felt like he hadn't been as explosive this season until he dunked all over Kevin Durant. And that has to be at the top of the list for dunk of the year at this point. That was insane.
And then it will inexplicably lose to some dunk that no one has heard of.
Yes, yeah. If we really are going to repeat last year, then that's what's going to happen. So the bottom line, though, is that the Lakers do have some options here for Luke Walton to consider. And of course, we're going to debate it like crazy when he finally makes his selection. By the time you listen to this, we may already know who Luke Walton is going to slide into the starting lineup. But Harrison, if it was you would go with Thomas Bryant. Personally, I'm going to lean Ivica Zubac just because of that experience factor and him having a little bit of experience going up against NBA caliber players last season. Now, one other topic I want to get to before we get out of here is that everybody was talking all about Kobe. It was all about Kobe during the Kobe Bryant jersey retirement day, right? Kobe Day again. And Mark Stein of the New York Times, one of my very, very favorite writers, put out a piece about Kobe, and he mentioned that prior to the draft, way back when, the Lakers were actually enamored with Tracy McGrady, and they already had Kobe on the roster, and they liked McGrady so much, they were so impressed with his workouts, that they were considering doing whatever it took outside of trading Shaq or trading Kobe to try to get a pick to use to draft Tracy McGrady with. That's an interesting concept. Harrison, do you think that would have worked out for the Lakers? If, say, they had shipped out like Eddie Jones for the pick to get Tracy McGrady, what are we talking about for the Lakers? I know this is speculation, but what's your take?
Yeah, I think first thing was that Mark Stein also reported that it was Jerry Buss that shot him down, which shows that no matter how great you are as an owner, everybody has kind of misfires.
Right.
And throughout their career, like nobody was infallible or like ever didn't make a mistake. But Jerry Buss was just still so amazing that he, like, as an owner, that he helped build this like three-peat team and then win like two more with Kobe later. And even while like kind of like, hindsight being 2020, at the time that was like a justified decision, but hindsight being 2020, that was a mistake. But these decisions aren't made in hindsight. And so, but had that been made, the Lakers probably would have taken initially a little bit of a step back. McGrady was very raw as a rookie, averaged like 7 points a game on 6 shots as a rookie in like 18 minutes a game. It didn't really add much else. Like, he didn't look like a future superstar at that point. Really, his first 2 years, he didn't look like that much. It wasn't until his third year that he really started to get going, and then he obviously just exploded once he left as a free agent for Orlando. But if he comes in there and him and Kobe are battling each other in practice every day and both of them are able to handle that, like it doesn't cause a schism, then, and like it builds them closer together and it makes both of them better. And that's not a guarantee that that's how it would have went. But if that had been how it played out, it's hard not to talk about, like, we're talking about one of the greatest dynasties of all time and somehow making that three-peat team like more hilariously dominant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I think about this, I don't just think
like
about
that is scary length on the wing.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, defensively, like Tracy McGrady is, I mean, Kobe's big. Kobe was, 6'6", 6'7". Tracy McGrady was 6'8" and long. Like you put Kobe out there, and when he was first team all defense, one of the best defenders in the league, along with McGrady, I mean, I'm basically thinking about like the 99-2000 title team, and you replace Glenn Rice with Tracy McGrady. Now, at that point, McGrady was only 20 years old, but he was already averaging 15 points a game, six boards, over 3 assists, right? I mean, he was developing a well-rounded game. Wasn't a great three-point shooter. He had only 28% from three, but still, this guy could get out there and play. And then imagine from there, like, the Lakers could have very easily still won that title that year and then gotten even better as time went on, because you would have not just Kobe growing and improving, but McGrady as well. And of course, personalities conflict, and
you can never guess how the
chemistry you never know,
work out.
But I mean, we can say that McGrady probably never goes on to average 32 points a game like he did in 2002 or anything like that, because he's playing with Kobe. But maybe his shooting percentages go up as a result because he's getting better looks and all that. But bottom line, I mean, that would have been amazing. We could be talking about that as being one of the greatest teams ever. And, unfortunately it didn't happen, but I don't know. Can we even say, unfortunately, we're talking about a three-peat championship team here? I mean, we can't be all that disappointed, right?
That's what I'm saying. Normally when you get these little asides of like, oh, this team almost traded for superstar X before anybody knew he was a superstar. Sure. It's like a team that was kind of ended up being down on their luck or didn't reach their full potential. But it's kind of hard to lament this one when they went on to like, that shows how well set up the Lakers were at that time with Jerry West as GM. Is they didn't trade for one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and still ripped off 3 straight titles. Like, that's just, it's a testament to just how good that team was. And I think now, like, there's always this recency bias, and people are just in a rush to declare the Warriors the greatest team of all time. And maybe they are, but I think people are starting to forget sometimes, maybe not Lakers fans, so maybe not this audience, but people are starting to forget sometimes, like, how good Shaq and Kobe were together. Like, that was an unstoppable team. And if you add Tracy McGrady to that, then, like, I mean, we're talking about a team that, like, challenges that 72 Bulls win record before the Warriors surpass it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's almost ridiculous to say that they could get 72 wins, but I mean, you think about the scoring, you think about the defense, everything put together. I mean, figure there's no Glenn Rice. So you've got Tracy McGrady in that spot, which means no Horace Grant the following year because the Lakers shipped out Glenn Rice for Horace Grant, and he played a good role. I mean, that was back in the day when power forwards were 15 feet and in and all that. So he played his role there and did a solid job. But you can find another Horace Grant, right? You can't find a Tracy McGrady anywhere. So even if you were to swap out Horace Grant, who did a good job, and find another bruising power forward that can just kind of do the dirty work, and then have McGrady and Kobe on the wing, that's almost just unfair. It's Golden State Warriors level unfair, right?
As long as chemistry worked out, like, T-Mac and Kobe would have probably flirted with like 50, 40, 90 every single year, because they would have been able to, like, every game one of them would have just had an easy night. There would not have been a team equipped to defend both of them adequately.
Yep, absolutely.
And then you're like, that's without, we've barely mentioned Shaq, who was the most dominant player in the league by far at that point. Like, that would have been, like, it would have been a joke.
Yeah, I mean, that team already steamrolled everybody.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how the poor, like, Sacramento Kings would have felt. They already got beat up on by the Lakers for year after year after year. I mean,
T-Mac would have been the third option. That's insane.
Yeah. The third option on a team that has Shaq, that has Kobe, that has all these other pieces. I mean, of course, you would still have Derek Fisher in there. Could still have Robert Horry, Rick Fox, all these other pieces around them. It would have been incredible. But
they could have put him on Sports Illustrated. They could have put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated and said, this is going to be fun.
Oh, no. Well, then it just would have fallen apart.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, you can't do that. All right. Well, you know what? That's interesting food for thought when you think about the possibilities. But, unfortunately, it didn't happen. But still, we'll just have to be happy with a three-peat. Well,
yeah. Oh, man. Darn. Just a three-peat.
I think we should call it a wrap here while we are living in the glory of the past, the three-peat victory and all that. Harrison, thanks so much for coming on and helping me discuss this whole Brook Lopez issue and who should possibly get those minutes. And then this exciting but kind of a little bit of a bummer T-Mac story, I guess, that it didn't, maybe a little disappointing that it didn't happen. But then again, three-peat, so it's all good story as well. Really appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you for having me on. It's always a blast.
All right, guys, and make sure you go and check out LakersNation.com for all the latest on Brook Lopez and every other Lakers story that you want to read about. My name is Trevor Lane, and this has been the Lakers Nation Newsfeed. See ya.